Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. I am standing outside my latest commercial rental property purchase. Just bought this one today after doing a 1031 exchange from my first rental property I ever bought back in 2010. So this currently is a fence company, Heritage Fence Company, and Chad owns the business, really cool guy. So if you guys are in northern Colorado and looking for a fence company, he's a good person to call on. It's very noisy here, which is very good for a commercial property. We're on one of the busiest corners in Eaton, Colorado, where this property is. This is Highway 85 and Collins Street. So obviously location is important for rental properties. This right here, just to show you, is where they just took out a gas tank. This used to be a gas station a long time ago. Used to be a Ford dealership a long time ago. Very historic, neat building. We're gonna walk around the outside, then we will walk around the inside too. Chad was nice enough to let us have permission to go through his property. This right here is actually parking for the property. However, everybody uses it as a turn lane right now. So one thing we wanna do, and I'll show you inside, is make that parking again, because we're probably gonna have multiple units now, whereas before it was just one unit. So the building, you can see here, goes back that way. And then is right here. Really cool, neat building. So I paid $590,000 for this property. It was listed for $625,000, I think. And then we got negotiated to $600,000. Then we found out the roof needs some work, so we negotiated the price down a little bit more. And then we had some issues with the 1031 exchange, so we'll talk about that here soon as well. So that cost me a little extra money, but we got it done. And this property should be a great property once we get another tenant in here, and I will show you that here now. All right, so this is Chad's business, obviously. There he is. It does have a bathroom in here and another bathroom in back. Few items that will need done eventually, but really good, solid building. And we'll go back here so we can not disturb his business as much. So he was occupying this whole space. You can get an idea of how big it is here. It's 10,500 square feet, so it's big. And he's been here 20 some years, I think, but he didn't want all this space. And one of the reasons why we got it so cheap, $600,000 is extremely cheap for a 10,000 square foot building, is because his rent was very low compared to what the square footage was. Now, I've had a dilemma. I'm not disclosing what his rent was for his privacy issues. It's not like we listed it. Wasn't private information, but it was very low. We actually renegotiated his lease before we bought it, so that he's just taking half of the property now. So he moved all his stuff from over here and is gonna occupy half of it, and he's paying a higher amount now that's close to what he's paying for the whole thing before. So we upped the lease quite a bit. That makes this building make sense, even with just half of it rented. So it's actually making more money now with half of it rented than it was before. And if we can get this part rented as well, which I don't think will be too difficult given the location, this should be $1 million property based on like a 7% cap rate, which is very conservative in our area. So with the 1031 exchange, what I ended up doing was taking the proceeds from my first property, moving them into this one. We ended up getting a private money loan for the rest of the amount from an investor I know. And so we'll be paying him this. It's not the prettiest bathroom, but it's functional. The private investor We'll be paying him obviously a higher interest rate than the bank, I think 10%, and it's a $430,000 first. Had 130 some thousand proceeds from my first rental. I ended up bringing about 20 some thousand of my own money into the deal. So it should make money, even given all that stuff, with just him in here. But if we can rent the second spot, then that's what makes it a much more valuable property, cash flow. At that point, then we'll bring in a traditional bank, refinance it, take most of the money out, even get some money back, and have long-term debt that cash flows. Awesome deal. All right. Now, of course, all of you know the going theme of my videos is we have to have a murder room. Just a weird, crazy place that's dark and scary. So there is a basement. So this has kind of a weird murder basement, but he's got it all blocked off with stuff, and I didn't want to have to make him move it all. So instead of a murder basement, we're going for the murder attic on this one. And even Chad was mentioning how it's kind of sketchy going up these stairs and hoping that they're built well because this is an old building. It's 110 years old, I believe. Oh, the light almost works. So here's our crazy, weird attic that has a bunch of documents, I guess, from the Eaton Chamber of Commerce still. And it goes back there. Oh, how far back does it go? It's hard to say. You probably can't see. Oh, that's just drop ceiling. I don't know if you guys can see it all. Probably not. I'm trying to get you close enough. No, just drop ceiling over there. It goes back here a little bit. So some more. Oh, that's great. What is that? Now I follow. There's some weird stuff back there. Huh. So anyway, here is the murder room with the weird flashing light. But it's also kind of cool to be able to see the roof structure here. And you can hear them working. But it's got big, steel trusses, round, cool arched roof. So it's pretty neat to see all that. You have the drop ceiling. Very cool building. So we'll stop wasting too much time up here. But here's our murder room. Now, I mentioned we had some issues with the 1031 exchange. So I got this property under contract, and then I tried to sell my other rental property. So the timing on that has to be perfect because I had to sell my rental property first before I could do a regular exchange into this property. And we had to extend this deal a week in order to make that work right, because my first rental property closing got delayed because the lender had issues that they should not have had. So anyway, the seller on this building, who is not Chad, he's just a tenant, really wanted to close faster, did not want to extend. And if you can do a reverse 1031 exchange, which means you buy the replacement property first, this property, and then you sell a property, but the mediator, the mediary, whatever, person who holds the money, you can't hold the money on a 1031 exchange, has to pay this money up front. So the cost, it was $500 to do a regular exchange or $4,500 to do a reverse exchange. So I ended up paying $2,500 to get a week extension on the sale of this property. We ended up extending it 2 days, not a week. But in the end, it was worth it. I was fine doing it because it obviously saved me that $4,500 from doing the reverse exchange. All right, so here the rest of the property keeps going. Like I said, this half will all be vacant. They're gonna keep that half. At some point, we'll put a wall in along here, separating the two. There we go. All right, something else that's kind of interesting with this property, have an alley. It comes with these two extra little lots right here. So, see, they're being used for storage right now. So the current tenant's gonna keep half of this storage. We'll have half of it open for the new tenant. They can be used for, like, you can see yard storage, extra parking, whatever you want to do. And then here you can see the back side of this property. Old brick. Almost all of it is in really good shape. I mean, there's some, you know, brick will deteriorate over time, but it's been maintained decently. But you can see this was kind of an add-on at some point, some extra garages, and that has some issues. You can see it's been probably settling this corner. There's some other cracks up there you can see. Honestly, this was such a good deal and such a good price that I didn't even have this property inspected, I just bought it. And yeah, that's a big crack, but it hasn't moved for years and years and years. And even if this entire garage area were to have problems and fall off, I'm okay with it because the rest of the building is worth it. So, trying to think of everything we have covered or not covered. We did the 1031 exchange, bought this from the MLS. So this was for sale for a while. I had my eye on it and I didn't come see it for some reason because I just didn't know, which is stupid. I should have come looked at it. It went under contract and then that fell apart because the bank wouldn't give him financing because the leases were so low. When it came back on the market, that's when I came to see it, looked at it, made an offer, got it negotiated, got it under contract. You can see the roof right here. So yeah, actually we had the roof looked at. That's about all we had looked at. And they did say it's newer, but it wasn't done right. So it will need some work. So like I said, negotiate the price down some, then had to pay more for our extension. But now we own it. Now we can kind of work on putting it up for lease, trying to get it rented, and go from there. What else do I need to talk about? I'm going to do a video on how 1031 exchanges work. That will be out next week. So that will go into more detail on the process of this whole thing and how it works. We'll kind of show you the front, the garages right here. The 1031 exchange does allow you to Oh, here, we can walk here real fast. The 1031 exchange does allow you to sell a rental property. So I bought my first rental for $97,000 in 2010. We sold it for $275,000. We did refinance it along the way, so I didn't get all that money. But take that proceeds, sell it, reinvest it into the new property, and not pay any taxes on the capital gain. So even though I made, you know, $170,000, whatever it was after our cost basis and everything, $160,000. None of that is taxed as capital gains. It all moves into this property. When you depreciate rentals, you can depreciate the structure. That does not start over with a 1031. That cost basis moves into this as well. Again, I'll talk more about that in the 1031 video. But pretty cool to see how we took a $97,000 property that I was able to buy thanks to my personal residence, which I got a good deal on, getting a cash out refinance. Took that money, bought my first rental property for $97,000. Now, 9 or so years later, that cash out refinance on my personal house turned into a $600,000, possibly $1 million rental property once all is said and done. All right, so it's very noisy over here again, woo, which is good with commercial real estate. So I'm gonna end the video now. I'm sure there's some things I forgot. If you have questions, leave them below. I'll try to answer them. We'll have many more videos on this property as we go through the process, fix it up some, go through the numbers more, and we'll have more information on the 1031 exchange as well. So make sure you follow us on investformore.com YouTube channel. Have a ton of information on Instagram and Facebook as well if you want to check us out there. Always love the subscribers, the comments, the thumbs up, all that good stuff. And check out investformore.com where we'll have this rental as well as all of my other 20 rentals on there as well on investformore.com/rentals. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy it. And we'll be back soon with much more content.